All right, welcome to another episode of the Influential Nonprofit. I am your host, Mary Ann Dersch. As you know, I work with nonprofit leaders to grow their influence so they can ask for and receive anything they want and need without feeling rejected, ineffective, or pushy. And and a lot of that, as people who follow me know, is around empathy and understanding other people and really tapping into where people are at. And I'm with Brynne Krispin today, and she is with Cause Focus, and we're going to talk about empathy and marketing, which I am really excited to talk about. Welcome, Brynne.
Thank you so much for having me. I remember we touched base a few months ago and the conversation was short, but we went right to empathy and I was super excited. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
I know, me too, because I think it's so important. Well, first of all, it's important as a marketing skill, but I think overall it's important as a life skill, right?
Yeah.
As like we could talk about it in a sense of marketing, but also talking about empathy just overall in relationships, in leadership, and in moving people to action. It's a muscle that we can learn to build, right? And one of my coaches talks about, the family is the Olympics. I think that the closer you are to people, the tougher it can be. I'm not saying it is the tougher it can be.
It gets messy for sure. Yes.
I tell my husband, like, what are you talking about? Like, wait, hold on, wait. And other people, I'm like, oh yeah, I can totally see that. So it's a practice and it's a craft. So we're going to talk about empathy and marketing, and also a lot of science and data behind this, right?
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into that, what I want to ask is the first question I ask everyone, which is, tell me something that you are proud of that you don't get to brag about a lot.
Oh, wow. Well, 2 months ago, I joined a dance class at my gym, and last week they invited me up on stage and I did it. So
Yay! Oh, that's awesome. What kind of dance? What kind of dance class?
What's that?
What kind of dance class?
It's hip hop and salsa. So not something that was directly in my comfort zone at all. But it's been really fun and I'm really enjoying it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So for years, I did something at the Y. We called it Zumba, but it was really hip hop and salsa. Like, because we were like hard. And the coolest thing was young people, old people, Black people, white people, heavy people, fit, like everybody. And it's just the joy of movement of your body and just letting go. Right. And just because, like, well, what are people going to think of me about, what? Just
have fun with it. And the supportive culture of it has been surprising and fun just to get in there. And I didn't know a single person when I joined, but it's been such a fun way to get to know people and just let loose and have a little bit of fun on a Saturday morning.
And really in the letting loose, so much of what we do, we're looking at it through, what are people going to think of me? What are they going to say? And when you do things like that, just really just standing in your own authenticity and like letting it happen, it's such a good lesson for other places in your life, right? Because the more you can do it, right? It's a muscle that you're building. So I'll tell you a secret. Like when I this has been a few years, like 5 or 6 years ago, I did burlesque.
Wow.
I know, because I decided at 50 the logical thing to do would go and take a class or learn how to take off my clothes in front of people. But part of it was exactly what you're talking about, which is about taking up space, owning your body, like loving yourself the way you are, and confidence and letting go of expectations. And so those things are often, but there's so much more going on than just a dance class, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it does, like you said, it permeates when you have that priority in your life, it permeates in all the other aspects of your life. So I've noticed even just how I relate to my team and how I relate to my son and my family. It's having that confidence, having that kind of curiosity about yourself and other people really does shine through. And it's a really, really fun thing.
So that's a great lead into curiosity about yourself and others, which is having a lot to do with empathy. So tell me how you built your business and how you came to focus on marketing and helping create more empathy in marketing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's a newer concept, empathy-based marketing. It's something we're just exploring and learning about. There's not a lot of research yet. But I've partnered up with Michaela Coulthurst-Reed. She's getting her PhD in psychology right now up in Canada. And she's been so helpful and grateful to partner with us in this and just really explore this concept. But I've been working in social media for almost 10 years now. I got my start as an intern in London, working for an organization helping refugees. And from there, came to DC, worked for a number of social impact organizations in policy and human rights. And one thing I started to notice was this trend that when you prioritize audience relationships and you treat your audience like human beings, those were the top performing campaigns, hands down, every time. And so when
shocking,
right?
What, we're supposed to treat people like humans?
So
it is crazy talk.
It's really powerful and exciting to see, especially on social media. These platforms can be so hard to work in. They're overwhelming. There's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of mental health issues. There's lots of trolls. And so I knew when I started my own firm that this had to be a focus of ours if we were to maintain this priority of creating communities that were making a positive impact on the world. We had to come at it with this approach of empathy first and humans first.
Right. So the relationship first, the money, this is what I tell people all the time. It's like what makes, especially fundraising and marketing too, kind of queasy is because we put the outcome first. We want the money or the attention. And when you put the relationship first, the money will follow, right? And that and I don't think anybody means to do that. I don't think anyone needs to ignore their audience, right? Or not treat them like human, because like this is why we're in this business. We're in this business because we love people and and we want to put good in the world. It's just we just don't know how to do it. And I think we've been taught or sort of an antiquated way of like close, sell, blah, blah, which I'm not saying that doesn't work in some places, but I think there's a newer, better way. And that you're right, it is sort of a new concept. Now, social media, it's wild, wild westy. I mean, there is a distinct lack of empathy.
Yeah.
That people have almost it's a tough place. And I think it really exacerbates people's, what's the opposite of empathy? Like judgment, right? Of others, right? It's like a very judgmental place. So how do you create that? First of all, how do you work in that environment, right? That you're sort of like, you're the lone, like lone empathetic voice with all this judgment around you.
Yeah, it can be lonely sometimes, for sure. And I think the first thing we have to do is recognize what these platforms are and just be real with each other about what they are. They are social environments. They're created for dialogue and for community and relationship building. But because of that, the algorithms are bent in a way that prioritizes lots of hot topics and dialogue that sometimes isn't always encouraging or empathetic. And so when it comes to nonprofits, I think we have to kind of flip the narrative a bit about, it's not going to be necessarily all about you and your work and what you're doing, but we have to start focusing on, in order to build a community, we have to focus on the audience and building the relationships there first. So I think the biggest mistake a lot of nonprofits make is treating social media like another stage, like they're invited to speak at a conference. Here's 30 minutes to tell us what we're up to, what we're doing, why our work is so important. But social media is not a stage. It's more like a happy hour where you walk in, you mingle, you get to know people. You get to know why they're there and what they're up to before you just start diving in and talking about yourself. So when you use social media as this communal environment, that's where I've seen a lot of success and communities really start to thrive. Then you have this pool of audiences that are engaged with you. They already know who you are. You've established that credibility so that when you're ready to ask them to do something, whether it's donate or sign a petition, come to the event, they're ready to do it. They know who you are. They trust you. They know you're not just trying to get another sale from them. So that is the biggest flip that I have to work with nonprofits oftentimes, is just flipping that narrative in their mind that social media isn't just, another platform that they can come on and start announcing to the world all the wonderful things they're doing. It's just not going to work that way.
Yes. I love the metaphor of the stage and the happy hour. I think that is, and you think, it's a mingling, it's a give and take, right? And, hey, how can I tell people, like, how can I be of value to you today? How can I be helpful to you? And what I find is, not even when you're ready to ask, but they'll ask you, how can I help you? What's cool? Like they're coming to you and saying, how can I help? I mean, and also, and I know you do this too, like this is how I run my business, right? Like I do this podcast, like, because I want it to be of value to people, I give value because I know that it'll come back to me. And it's such a more fun way of working because
Absolutely.
you don't feel like you have to get anything from anyone. And also it takes a lot of trust and like faith that, oh, hey, because people aren't ATMs, shocking. And that's something that I may, put something out, plant a seed that may not grow for a while, right? They just may not be ready. And it's kind of like just being in there and being in the mix and being present and helpful. And then people say, oh, hey, I was thinking of you, and oh, great. And then it's right.
This is a challenge for nonprofits, especially because they are, they're already under-resourced. They're often on the brink of burnout. They have very small teams and they have big goals and they need to raise money. And so presenting these concepts to them doesn't always go well at first because, it does take time and nurturing and you have to be willing to kind of experiment and test out new things. But I'll be the first to tell you that I am not a let's sit down and talk about our feelings kind of girl. And so it's a challenge for me too. And so it's kind of exciting to work with nonprofits and figure it out together of how do we do this really well and show them the value of it when they commit to it and see, the increase in revenue once they've taken the time to really establish that trust and relationship first.
Right. Because, hey, the way they were doing it wasn't really working anyway. So you might as well try this new way.
Might as well.
Maybe it'll work better,
Exactly. Exactly.
And it does take some patience. It takes some faith and, and centering the needs of others. And also really just understanding what your audience wants and what your audience values. And I'd love to talk a little bit about the research that you're working on partnering with. What is it telling you about empathy and marketing and the importance of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I can share a story real quick too, just of an example of how we did this recently with a nonprofit. So I partnered with Caroline Griffin, another excellent marketing expert, last year end, to work with the Institute for the Study of War. And ISW became the go-to resource for daily updates and maps tracking the war in Ukraine this past year in 2022. And so they grew organically like crazy on social media. They had almost 500,000 followers organically. And so they came to us toward the end of last year and said, hey, we have this huge audience. We don't really know who they are. We want to keep them engaged. We want to turn them into donors, but we don't quite know how to do that. So we put our heads together. We developed a campaign that kind of pulled back the curtain for the first time and featured the experts and the humans behind these incredible maps and updates that they were producing daily. And we did videos with their names and their faces, with their permission, of course. We encouraged them to tell the stories of the good and the bad, transparently share about burnout and just how overwhelming the year had been for them. They're doing so much work, but had such a small team to do it. So we paired that with just a very direct, clear CTA to help to encourage people to donate, to hire more people to help them keep producing this work. And at the end of the day, they were able to raise $31,000 for Giving Tuesday alone. This was their first time ever doing a Giving Tuesday campaign.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And then they raised $85,000 in December. So they well exceeded their goal, grew by, 122% increase in audience growth on social. This was all in 2 months and it was all organic. And so one, just to say that, again, showing the humans behind your organization can be really impactful. Showing videos that kind of pull back the curtain and just feature some of the real authentic stories can create that relationship with your audience. And then just being really direct. We were very transparent. We said, hey, it's been a long year. We're burnt out and we need help. And that, people saw that and related to that. And so they were more likely to give. So that's just one example. Some other stats, for my more rational thinkers out there who are more about the numbers, who need proof of this. I love this one that, videos that make direct eye contact perform 3 to 5 times better than any other content type on social right now. So if you're thinking like cameo style videos, testimonials, anything where you're talking face to face with your audience is going to perform really, really well. And it's sometimes hard to get this content for nonprofits, especially those who work in areas where they can't feature the names and faces of their survivors they're working with or the program. But I would say that's a challenge I'm willing to accept. And I love working with them anyway, because there are some incredible tools and ways that we can still put that human face to their content. So I love that stat. I've been encouraging nonprofits to try to use that more and more, just to try to create that relationship.
I have too. And I think this can be, I'm not going to say it can be a challenge, because it is a little bit different. And also in the video, it's about being, open, vulnerable. It's not rehearsed. It doesn't have to be rehearsed, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just like telling little stories. And one of the things that I've been working on is really like from the organization standpoint of people don't give to organizations, they give to people, right? And the relationships and for this could be executive directors, CEOs, development directors to come out, right? And they're like putting their name and face out there and having, so instead of the email coming from the brand, it's coming from a person. Yeah. Right. So my St. Louis Public Radio, I noticed that I'm getting the emails from Tina, right? And from Maria, who are staff people, but on behalf of the organization. It's a subtle shift, but it's a shift. And I think it goes right along with what you're saying, right? And I want to connect with a person. And the short videos, right, where you're just talking to people and telling a story. Those I think those perform really well as well. And it's good to hear you having the data to
we'll be putting out some more research later this year too, as we're tracking this, and grateful to work with clients who allow us to kind of experiment with them and trust us with their platforms, because again, this is a newer concept, but we're seeing really great results when we apply what we're learning. And so we've been collecting over the last year some data and research, and working with Michaela on her program as well, just getting some really good insights here. But another thing I would say that piggybacks off of the video item is that I hear a lot too about nonprofits wanting to get more millennials, more Gen Z to donate and get involved in their organization. And this is a great way to, I think, explore that, because, I say we as millennial and Gen Z collectively, we're kind of overwhelmed and burned out and just kind of tired of seeing the overly produced documentary style 30-minute long video about what your organization does. I think there's a time and place for that still. But when it comes to social, I think ultimately what you just got to do is do the quick, short videos, get people who either work at the organization or influencers who can partner with you to craft up some of those videos. Because we have trust issues and we don't know who to give to and who to trust anymore. And I think this is a great way to just kind of, again, pull back that curtain and be a little more authentic and real with your audience and establish that trust.
So authenticity, transparency, those are the things, like, that's what people are hungry for, because there's so little of it.
Yeah.
Right. There's so and the more authentic and transparent you can be, the more you will find people will connect with you.
Mhm.
And again, I think this comes from, though, a history of feeling like we as a nonprofit have to have a really perfectly polished image, because in
Mhm.
that because we don't want to be seen as less than,
Mhm.
right? Because we already feel at a disadvantage societally because we're a nonprofit, all of
Yeah.
those things,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
we have to be super shiny. We don't want to cause controversy. And one of my
Mhm.
clients that I work with now that I talk about a lot, the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet, is I'm working with the development and communication seems to be more and more authentic and transparent with who the
Mhm.
sisters are and what they believe in. And it has been amazing to watch the shift and watch all the energy, because people are
Mhm.
like, they
Yeah.
see themselves and they feel connected to it. Um and it takes, again, some trust and
Mhm.
right, and just kind of like putting yourself out there, like being on the stage at your dance
Yeah.
class, right, and just
Yeah.
letting it happen,
Just let it happen. Lean into it. Yeah,
Yes, lean
exactly.
into it. And I do think, here's the thing, like, I when you're on social media, because we are all the time, like I'm on TikTok, I'm on I don't do a lot of Instagram, but little Facebook, little LinkedIn, and you can see that there is a distinct lack of, people don't understand how to be empathetic to a
Mhm.
situation. So when somebody
Mhm.
says, "Oh, this happened to me and it was awful," and all somebody wants is for you to say, "Oh my God, that sounds horrible. I'm so sorry that happened to you."
Yeah.
When people are
Yeah.
like, "I don't understand why you did it this way, or why did you do it this way, or if you thought you were gonna, like, why didn't you go to the airport earlier?" And it's a protection. It was a protection
Mhm.
that, well, we wouldn't have done that, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's an ego saving thing, but the
Mhm.
practice of empathy and in a day to day where you can just set yourself aside for just a second. And I tell people, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to like it, you don't have to understand it. You just have to empathize with it, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
All you have to do is like believe what they're telling you is true from
Mhm.
their perspective. That's it. And
Mhm.
once
Mhm.
you start that muscle, right? And then again, yes, in social media, then also in your life, in conversation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, not being so quick to rush and solve the problem, which again, I think nonprofits are admirable that they want to do that right away, but like
We're
what
solvers and fixers.
yeah, and
Right.
you have these big problems and you want to just do something about it. But I think coming at it, whether you're a nonprofit or again in your own individual life, but coming at it from that empathetic standpoint and just listening really well first and trying to understand the problem first, then talk to the people who are experiencing these things too. It's not just you against the problem. You try to bring other people into it who are experiencing the problem as well, then come with some solutions. And I think you'll see a much more human first approach. And I think that's what we're all at the end of the day going for, right? That's can't go wrong with that kind of
Yeah,
approach.
yeah. And again, I don't think it's because people don't want to have the human first. They just don't know how to do it.
Yeah,
Right. And again,
it's hard.
it is. And when I coach and train people, like, it's
Mm,
that eight always, close, get the money, get the like,
mm,
whoa, that's putting the money before the people. And
yeah.
I'm just not going to do that. And because I know in the short term, when you get on that stage, or you like, maybe you get attention, right?
Mhm,
But in the
mhm,
long run, people are going to turn you off pretty quick. And I
mhm,
always like it to it like a friend. So if you and I went out to lunch and you just talked about yourself for 30 minutes, like,
mhm.
like, wait, what? No, it's a give and take, and it's a slow
Yeah.
reveal, right? I don't
Mhm,
need to know everything about you the first time we meet. And so I think it's also like, oh, they need to know everything about us. Like,
mhm.
no, they
Because
don't.
everything is so important, right? And
Right,
that's what
because
we think.
everything
And yeah.
feels right,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
has the same level of importance. Like, I can
Mm,
reveal, just like in a relationship,
mhm,
I can get to know you over time, and you can get to know us over time, and then build in that relationship with an organization. I always bring it down to a person. If you and I were sitting together and you went on for 30 minutes, or I went on for 30 minutes, that wouldn't be a
mhm.
productive, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to connect. But when we're
Yeah.
giving and taking and learning to understand about each other, then that builds a relationship. right?
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Mother Teresa, where she said, if I look at the mass, I will never act, but if I look at the one, I will. And so the idea of, you don't have to present the problem in its entirety all at once. That actually creates a lot of confusion for people, and they get overwhelmed, and then they just don't do anything. But if you present one person or one idea, one concept to them, and do it in such a way where they can see themselves as someone who can actively participate in the problem solving of whatever you're trying to do, then they're going to act, and they're going to be emotionally connected to the cause, instead of just presenting everything you're trying to do in the full fiscal year or whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
Much.
Yes, I love that, because again, how would I do that with a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you told me that you're working on something new, and I'm very excited because I know, and I think some of your partners have been on my podcast before.
I'm sure they have. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me what's going on.
I'm collaborating with Caroline Griffin and Caitlin Bond, so two excellent marketing experts for year-end campaigns. We're calling ourselves the Year-End Dream Team, so you can hire all three of us to be on your team. We're offering campaign messaging, web, email, and social all in one, so that we can save busy nonprofit leaders time and help them raise a lot more money. And we're going to be offering services at 3 different levels. So done for you, where we come in, we do everything from strategy to execution. Done with you, so we take a step back and we kind of coach you through it, or completely do it yourself, so you can just download it, the roadmap, and do everything yourself.
Wow.
We're going to be launching August 1, so stay tuned and connect with us on LinkedIn for more of that. But just like I shared about ISW, we're eager to take these learnings and start applying them to a lot of different nonprofits. There's so many incredible causes out there, and I think they kind of get stuck on digital and like how to do it really well and effectively. And so we would be honored to help you figure that out.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And I love your offerings because, I really am a big believer in the done with you, like the co-creation.
Yeah.
And that, so the fact that, hey, you offer I will do it for you, we'll do it with you, or we'll show you how to do it.
Yeah.
Because that makes it really accessible for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love, that's a great model. And I'm so excited for you all to do that because, that year-end campaigns are important. And so we're recording this, but this should be, so I think the timing of the release of this and the release of that will be great. So how can people get a hold of you if they're interested in this?
Yeah, the best way is just go to causefocus.com. We'll be putting everything up there on the website, and that's focus with a K, spelled in Swedish, and we can talk about that at another time maybe. Or you can just connect with us all on LinkedIn, and we'll be posting about it there as well.
Okay. And we'll put it all in the show notes. So you can go find it there.
Yeah.
But we're not leaving the open loop about Swedish. What was that about?
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I got really into my ancestry, found out I'm super Swedish. My grandma is 100% Swedish, and got really into studying the science of well-being, the Scandinavian lifestyle, just how differently they approach life, and the whole people over things concept, quality over quantity. And so when I started my business, I knew that would be a big focal point for me in how I approach working with people, work-life balance, all of that. And so that we have kind of a Scandinavian element to everything we do.
That's cool. 2 things I want to tell you. One, there was this show, it was way before its time. It's Amy Poehler's brother. Can't remember, but it's called Welcome to Sweden, and he moves to Sweden with his girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
And it's a cute NBC show. It didn't get the chance it should have. It's adorable, and how he navigates her family and life in Sweden is, and they because they're always making fun of him and drinking him under the table and all this stuff like that. Anyway, it's so funny. But
I can't wait to watch it.
It just was one of those shows that just, if it came out because it was before streaming, so if it came out now, I'm sure it would find a home. Mm-hmm. The second thing is my dog is Swedish.
Oh, wow.
Well,
how did you get a Swedish dog?
My dog's name's Munsbit, and that's Swedish. It means a little taste or a little bite. That's right. And we had a St. Louis Blues Alexander Steen was a St. Louis Blue, and he's from Sweden, and he and his wife were involved in a stray rescue group I'm involved in, and this was many, many years ago, and they would volunteer and go on rescues. And he rescued my puppy from he was a bait puppy, and they called him Munsbit, and so we just kept the name. People are like, what is your dog's name?
That's awesome.
So my dog has sweet.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Maybe I can adopt your dog as part of my agency mascot.
All right. Final question, which is, so you're in Maryland, I'm in St. Louis. Next time I'm in Frederick, we're totally going to hang out. But if we're ever at a karaoke bar together, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh gosh. Maybe With or Without You by U2.
Oh, okay. You're like, maybe, I don't know. Is it
probably a U2 song somewhere, somehow, but yeah. I'm a big U2 fan.
There you go. See, sing what you like.
What about you?
Sing along. Girl, I got a list on my phone. Okay. There's a lot of things. I do like the new stuff. Like I was doing Dua Lipa Levitating. That was a big one.
That's such a good song.
Yeah, that's a really fun song. And that whole album got me through COVID. But and then I do some show tunes, some oldies. It's the same kind of being on that stage, dancing. It's just about releasing and having fun, and just that full body experience of just creative self-expression. And that's where I get a lot of energy from, just tapping into that. People say, oh, karaoke, but again, like your dance, like the burlesque, like, there's a deeper reason for it. And for this, it's like that full body creativity, just like, and also like releasing the outcome, like, okay, so what if I miss a note or something? So yes, that's my thing.
I love that. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Brynne, for being here. This has been wonderful. Good luck with the what is it called, the year-end campaign, the dream team.
Yeah, we're calling ourselves the dream team. Little Charlie's Angels going on.
My listeners, you have to check into that, because I think that could be amazing and help you get those year numbers that you're looking for. And it's not too late, right? Like they could do this now for this year. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that's it for me and the Influential Nonprofit. If you haven't yet, you can go to the influentialnonprofit.com and you can download your up-level your influence starter kit. I have tons of goodies in there to talk about things like empathy, understanding, to better your communication and leadership skills, so you can get the most out of yourself and everyone else around you. And we'll see you next time on the Influential Nonprofit.